Every time we hear the word therapy, many of us think of talking to a random person for an hour about how we feel. But to me, therapy is more than just talking to someone. It is helping me cope with my emotions. See, when I was younger, I had a hard time remaining happy with how my life was looking. I was so strong for a moment until I started slowly losing it over and over again. See, around 2012, I lost my grandmother. At the time, she was my closest grandparent. It was hard for me because she was the only person who gave me motivation to want to become a singer. I used to sing to her a lot, mostly her favorite songs like Paloma Azul, My Tigre Palma, or Nieves de Enero by Chalino Sanchez. When she died, those songs didn't sound the same anymore. Those songs aren't sad songs to people, but to me they were. They meant a lot to me, and now they're just memories of what a happy life once looked like in 2012. During the same year, my dad had got deported for reasons most kids with alcoholic parents could relate to. He was very abusive. It got to the point where alcohol turned into weed turned into heavy drugs like meth and coke, and those drugs turned into a broken home. Well, it wasn't broken yet. See, my mom was a single mother for a while, and we were living in a studio. Life was good with just my mom because although she couldn't give her 4 sons much, we were okay with just her love. Although she had a bad history with men, she tried giving dating another chance. Who'd have thought that man wasn't the best option either? My mom ended up getting arrested thanks to the man. Now me and my brothers felt like we had no one. We had to hop around houses for a year. Why? Because that man had a warrant and was a drug dealer, and my mom was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. That's where I started having problems. I didn't know how to be happy because I felt like I had no one. I also had anemia. I was a skinny kid and looked younger than kids my age, way younger. I was always confused as being the youngest kid since my younger brother looked older than me. Since I was smaller than kids my age, I was always being picked on, especially in middle school because kids my age were already past puberty, but me. I was always an easy target, and it infuriated me to know I couldn't defend myself. I was filled with anger. Every school I went to, there was always a kid better than me who would try to pick on me. Once I got older, my past messed with me. I would hate when dudes looked at me or even say something to me. Why? Because I was always the weaker person growing up. And it started with my dad. I had so much hate for him until I met him for the first time in more than a decade. I noticed how small and harmless he looked, and it made me think to myself, he's not someone worth hating. But this didn't make me a better person. I was always fighting someone, whether it was in school or outside of school, whether if it was a gangster or another alcoholic just like my dad. I had hate towards other dudes, even though I'm with myself. I was falling into the wrong path. I wasn't just fighting. I was out with my cousin, drinking, smoking, tagging, being places where I knew I shouldn't be, but those places felt like home. The dudes I would hang out with felt like family. Me and my cousin did everything together until it was time to get jumped in. I wasn't ready for that, but he was. Now he's looking at 10 years in county jail. Where would I have been if I had taken the gang life too? Once I started boxing, everything changed for me. I felt like a better person, mentally and even physically. The gym gave me a place to release all my anger. Now, I still wasn't the happiest person, but I sure was a much calmer person. I wasn't mad at the world anymore. I didn't hate myself anymore. I wasn't fighting anymore. Boxing was my therapy. I didn't need someone to talk to because I would just talk to the punching bag. I didn't need someone to hug because I would hug my sparring partner every time we got too close. I didn't even need reassurance because my coach just told me I had heart. I didn't need anyone because I felt alone regardless. Now I had a purpose, and it was the gym. I saw myself boxing every day with the same discipline I first had, but that all ended. I had to start working. I was working full-time as a high school student. Those were the worst 5 months of my life. I felt so drained every time I came to school because all I knew was what to do was work. I saw my grades dropping. I never paid much attention to it because I still had the feeling that I could keep up my grades even though I was working 4 to 12 right after school. It came to the point where I couldn't anymore. No amount of money was more valuable than my mental health. I finally left work, and now what is left for me is to get back into the gym. Despite the money I was making, I knew I had to prioritize school. I made the right decision, though I feel broke with not enough money to get me through these last few weeks. This is Angel from the YP Warrior Times.